Hey, what's going on here? Mr. G's class. We have a test tomorrow, like you read earlier in the week. Test is on Friday, and by tomorrow I mean tomorrow's tomorrow. Tomorrow we're actually going to review, and then Friday is what I should have said. Friday we have a test, okay? So, everyone's favorite question that I never answer and never will answer is how long is the test? And it is a pleasant surprise. The day you get it, you will find out. It's, it's like a secret. It's like a Christmas present. You don't want to open it too early. So, you'll just have to find out. / I don't have that memorized. It's alright. So, on the warm-up, this is based on yesterday's notes. We did 4 things on the notes. There's 4 things on the warm-up. And on your assignment that you're going to continue working on today, there are 4 things on the assignment. So I'm trying to make it as obvious as possible. But they are kind of scrambled on the assignment. So let's read everything carefully. Number 1, given endpoints. 2 endpoints, right? We want to find the midpoint. So if you remember, you can find midpoint using what formula? Midpoint formula. So if you don't know what that is, because it's not on the board, you should have your notes on your desk. Take a look at those notes, okay? But the notes tell us that we're going to add up these x's, 3 plus -1, and then divide by 2. If you type it in your calculator, you should get 1, or 2 over 2, right? You do the same thing for your y values. So we have -5 plus 6, -5 plus 6, divided by 2, and we get 1 over 2. And just a reminder, if you needed the formula for midpoint formula, this is what it was from the notes from yesterday at the top right. x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. But when we get our x and our y value on number 1, do you remember how I have to write it? Do I just leave it like that? Or what do I do? What? Oh, you can do Control-Enter to get the decimal, yes. Okay, good. And then we need to make sure it's in a coordinate form, x comma y, ordered pair. So make sure you write it like that, x comma y in parentheses, okay? So on your assignment today, does anyone have it nearby? Let's see, here we go. On your assignment today, you know you're finding midpoint on numbers 7 through 12, because it says find the midpoint. So if you're stuck on 7 through 12, look at our warm-up number 1, look at the first half of your notes. Number 2, given an endpoint, and this time it gives us a midpoint. This is not like number 1. Okay, if you look at your notes from yesterday, it's like the second half of the first page of our notes. This one I showed you a different method to solve it. And I'll show you again right now. So the first thing we did was that's when we're doing distance formula. But this is finding an endpoint. So it was on the front side of the notes at the bottom. What you're doing is draw yourself a little segment off to the side. Label the endpoints E. The top endpoint is 1, 5. And then we label M for the midpoint, which is -3, 8. Okay? And our job was to find the difference between the endpoint and the midpoint. Okay? So our endpoint is 1, our midpoint is -3. The difference, how do I get from 1 down to -3? Subtracting 4, so -4. So I'm going to draw a little -4 here, a little -4 here. Okay? Now how do I get for the y values from 5 up to 8? Adding 3. So +3, +3. And now I can find out my other endpoint by continuing the pattern. -3 minus 4, -7. And then 8 plus 3, 11. That's kind of small, so I'll rewrite it over here. -7, 11 is my other endpoint. Okay? You know you're going to use that when you're given an endpoint and a midpoint, and you're supposed to, like it says, find the endpoint. So on your assignment, when you're trying to knock that out, you might find that on the backside on numbers 13 and 14. Okay? Very similar. Then on number 3, it says find the length. What's another word for length? Not exactly. Distance. Okay? So, distance. Guess what formula we're going to use for that? Distance formula, right? Now, if you want a reminder of what the distance formula is from yesterday's notes, this is what we were doing. Here is the distance formula at the top. Okay? All this at the top here. So, let's apply that formula to this. So, we always start with the letter D equals and a big square root. And then we're going to subtract x2 minus x1. So, what were you saying? Okay, so 7 minus negative 2 parentheses squared. You always have to subtract, even if it's a negative, okay? And then plus, and then our y2 minus y1, 3 minus 4 squared. Okay, if I can take that to the calculator, if I type it in correctly, then I'm going to get my answer. Yes? When we get to number 4. Right now we're on number 3. So on number 3, we're using these numbers. 7 minus negative 2, 3 minus 4. If I type that in the calculator, I should get, it's this last one right here, 9.06. That 5, the third 5 is going to make the second 5 after the decimal round up. Okay? Do I have everyone's head up? Because I don't want anyone sleeping on the job over here. All right, so 9.06. All right, that is kind of small underneath my see you at the pole flyer. See you at the pole. Okay, 9.06. That's my distance. Great. All right, and then number 4, find the total length of a segment. But notice what we're given. We're given the endpoint and a midpoint. What do we call it from the end to the middle? That is half. So it's okay to find the half distance, but then we have to do what again? What do we do with the half to get the whole? That's when we're going to multiply it by 2, because this keyword is total length, right? So times 2. So really quick, distance is going to be x2 minus x1. So 6 minus 2 parentheses squared plus negative 1 minus negative 3 parentheses squared. Okay, so if I can take that to the calculator and type it in. So, control, let's try again. Control, there we go, parentheses, 6 minus 2 parentheses squared plus parentheses negative 1 minus negative 3 parentheses squared. Type it in, I get 4.47, but that's only half, so again, what do? Times it by 2. I can check yours in a minute, but 4.47, we double it, we get 8.94. So we get that distance, we multiply it by 2, and we get 8.94. Okay, so we're going to use that information to do our assignment. You got it at the end of class yesterday. Number 3 is like your assignments numbers 1 through 6. And then number 4 on the warm-up is like your assignments number 15 and 16. Okay, so go ahead and get started on your assignment, please.